So welcome to another video. We have a new version of the Z1 software out, version 2021.2. And there's a lot of new features in the Z1 Designer as well as in the dashboard and the analyzer. So in this video, we're going to talk about the Z1 Designer and the new tools that are available in it, which include the track map, the standings tool, the image tool, and the friction circle tool. Before we get going with that, please like the video. And also, we've started a Discord channel to talk about everything with the Z1 software. So the link is in the description below. Make sure you check that out and join that channel. And we're going to have sort of tech talks and things like that on that as well as we move forward. So let's get started and let's talk about the new tools in version 2021.2 of the Z1 Designer. So here we are in 2021.2 of the Designer, and right now just opened the application and have not actually started creating anything. So as a first step, just going to make a new dashboard. So go to File and New Dashboard and type in something like Test Dash. And we're going to go through the 4 new tools and just show how they work and what the properties do. And I'm not actually going to design a dashboard, just show you how you can use these for your own designs. So on the left here, we have the toolbar. And if you only see this much of the toolbar, then just extend it down until you see all the tools. So the 4 new ones are here on the left at the bottom. We have the image tool. This is the track map tool. This one is the standings. And this one is the friction circle. So we're going to go through these and talk about how you place them, what they can do, and what their various options are. So let's start with the track map. So the first thing is you want the track map to be in the foreground. So make sure your foreground layer is selected back here, because the track map obviously is an active item which is constantly updated. And if you put it in the background, then it's going to not be updated and it will not work properly. So make sure you click foreground and have that selected. Then choose the tool and drag it out wherever you want it to be. The circle is just a placeholder of where the track map is going to be displayed on your dashboard. Once you're actually in the Z1 dashboard, this will be replaced with whatever the circuit diagram would be for the particular track you're on. The color of the track, this gray right here, is determined by this color option here in the object properties. So if you want a different color, you just click on this and choose the color of the track map you want. So you want a lighter gray, you do that and you have a lighter gray. You can also choose to make the track map user definable colors. So if I click this X, the track map becomes invisible here. You still see the square where it will be. But in the Z1 dashboard, it allows the user of your dashboard to choose their own color for their track map. So if you want to do that, this is how you do that. If you want to specify the color exactly, choose the color you want in the color picker and click OK. And now we have a great green track map. The next thing is down here, these 3 text displays. The one on the left is the time in the session, then your pit delta, and the actual time right now in the world. So you can choose to display this in any color you want by clicking here and then choosing the color you want. Or if you don't want this in your track map, you can get rid of it by clicking this X icon on the just to the right here, and then that hides that information. But for this demo, I'm just going to put something back in so we can see it again. And like any other object, you have your font and your size and other attributes. So you can change this information's font and size using these various options here to make it work for whatever your design is for your dashboard. So next, we're going to talk about images. So let me just delete this track map. So just right-click, choose Delete. And yes, I'm sure. So the image tool is right here. I can click on it, and now I'm ready to place my image. Unlike a track map, an image doesn't change, so you want to put that in the background. So I'm going to click here on background, and then I can drag out to wherever my image is going to be. And the size of the box obviously is up to you based on what you're showing as your image. So right now I've just placed where I want it to be. The next step is to actually select the image I'm interested in. So I come over here in my object properties and I click the select image button. And now I have a pop-up for choosing an image. And it needs to be a PNG image. So once you have one, you can choose whatever you want. So we're going to choose the Z1 logo and open that up. So now I have the Z1 logo in my dashboard. And I'm going to just make this a little bit bigger. So when you're putting the image in, you do want to make sure that the source image is a large enough image so that it looks good at different resolutions. If you have a tiny, small image and the user of your dashboard is having it on a very big display, it's going to look pixelated. So make sure that whatever image you use definitely has enough resolution to work well in all different sizes. So there are a few options for the images. They're all to do with alignment. So you can choose the horizontal and the vertical alignment of the image within the box you have you've drawn for your image. So right now it's centered. I can choose to have it left aligned, I can choose to have it right aligned, or I can stretch it across the whole box. The same thing for my vertical alignment. I can choose to center it, I can choose to have it on the top, which let me get a better, 1 second. There we go. So I can have it aligned on the top, in the center, on the bottom, or I can have it stretch across the whole thing. So right now, since both of these are optioned to be stretched, when I move this around, it will always just fill whatever the square is. So pretty simple. That's how you place an image, and you can have as many of these as you want in your design. They can be logos, obviously backgrounds, whatever it is, to enhance your dashboard. Okay, so next, we're going to talk about the friction circle. So I'm just going to delete this again by right-clicking and choosing delete. Yep, I'm sure. So the next, this icon here is the friction circle. So I'm going to choose that one. And similar to the track map, the friction circle is something which will change because it needs to be redrawn. So I want to make sure that gets put in the foreground. So select foreground and then just click and drag it out to wherever I want it to be. So the friction circle here, this again is a preview of what it will look like. And with the ball here and then the circle and the actual G loadings on the 4 corners or 4 axes. So there are several colors that you can choose with this friction circle. The first is the line color. So right now it's this gray, but let's say we go with white so it's obvious. That is these lines in the circle here. So you can choose what colors you want for that. The next is the color of the dot, which is the red dot here. Click that, give any color you want. So say you want a blue one, and you can have a blue dot. Then you have the color of the text, which are these numbers here. And let's say you want something like green, you can have a green numbers. And then the fill color is the background of the actual inside the circle here. So say you can change that to anything as well. Let's say we want something totally crazy like this. You can have it be that color. And you can also get rid of the colors. So if you don't want the text to display, you can click that off. If you don't want a dot, you can do that. The friction circle without a dot is not very useful, but these options are there if you want them. I'm going to put the text back in extremely hideous colors here. Okay. The next option is the stroke and how many decimals you want. So the decimals refer to your G-forces. Depending on what car you're driving and the design of the dashboard, the number of decimals in that G-force can be from 0 up to 4, whatever makes sense for your purposes. Then the stroke is the thickness of the line around the outside. So to make it totally obvious, 10, obviously it's a very thick circle. 3 is the default. And you can adjust this to be whatever works for your particular friction circle. And then we've got the specific center and radius size of the circle. and the fonts used to draw the g-force loadings on the 4 axis points. So that's how you do a friction circle, and hopefully you use better color choices than this. So it's going to delete that. All right, we've saved the best for last, which is the standings object. So I'm going to delete my friction circle here. The standings object is this one right here. I'm going to click on that. And as with the track map and the friction circle, you want to make sure it's in the foreground. So make sure the foreground layer is selected, and then click and drag out your standings object. There are a lot of options with the standings object, so we're going to go through those now. But the first thing is you just drag it out to however much space you want it to be. So we'll start up here with the colors. First of all, you can do the stroke color, which is the outline of your box. So it's let's make the stroke width a bit wider so we can see what we're talking about. So that's this color here. And I'm going to change this back to black just so that it looks a bit nicer. Then you have the fill color for the entire box. And right now that's just black. Again, you can come here and choose any color you want. The next thing is the odd rows and the even rows. So you can choose what colors these want to be, or you can have them just be transparent, in which case they'll be whatever the fill color is. And then you have the header color, which is the color of the text here in each of these columns. So if I change that, my column text changes color. And then you have the color of the text, which is for the dashboard. I'm sorry, for the standings information. So this color will be grayed out in certain situations. So if a driver is not on track or they've left the session, they can still appear in your standings, but they will be grayed out or dimmed based on whatever color you happen to use. But this white color or this text color is the overall choice for whatever is used to draw all this information. So moving down, we have our top left and bottom right corners, standard things in the designer, so we're not going to talk about those, and the stroke width, which we also mentioned. Next is the font size. So this is used to draw everything in the in the standings object. And as you can see, you can get it bigger or smaller, whatever you want it to be, any font and whatever font weight you want it to be. The column headers are always italics, and then the rest of the information is just standard. So unlike other objects, the font size does not scale when you change the size of the dashboard. It always stays the same. And the point of this is so that as you make your dashboard bigger, you can see more people in your standings. So just be aware that that is completely normal, and it shouldn't be getting bigger or smaller. It should stay whatever the size is that you originally choose. So next is column information. This is where it gets is where all the fun stuff happens. So you can choose how many columns do you want in your standings object, from 1 all the way up to 20. So by default, it's just 3 with the position, the driver's name, and their last lap time. So we can add a couple. We'll say we want 6 columns. So when you do 6 columns, it adds the extra 3 and assigns them to whatever the default column is, which is position. So to change what is displayed in a column, you come over here and we have column, we have title, and we have alignment. So I've added 3 columns, this position, the column 4, 5, and 6. So obviously I don't want them all showing position. So if I click on this, I see all the options of what I can display in a column in the standings dash. So I want to know, say, like the car number. So I choose the car number option. I might also want to know, as well as the last lap, the fast lap. So I'm going to choose the fastest lap option, which is right here. And then let's say I want to know what is the last pit stop time. So I can choose pit stop time. And this will show me however long they were in the pits for on the last time they pitted. So obviously you can choose mix and match these for whatever your purposes are. The next option here is title. This allows you to display what shows up in the headers. So if you don't like what's there, you can just delete it and write whatever works for you as the header for each particular one. Then the final option here is the alignment, and this is the alignment of the information within the column. So we have our standard left, or we can do right. Right now we're looking at this position column, or we can center it, or you can choose justified. Justified doesn't really do anything for this column because it's just a number, but if you have more information, justified might be something which works well for you. And you can choose that for all the columns that are added in. So that's how all the options work within the standings tool. The next thing to look at is, well, how do you adjust the size of the columns? So to do that, you want to make sure you have the selection or the move tool selected. Click on that. And then just like any other object in Designer, you can move it around by clicking on the vertex and dragging it. In addition, it has these vertexes inside it. So if I click this, I can then adjust the size of a column on any of the column options that you have here. So that's how you adjust what you want your column sizes to be. And there is a minimum, so this is as small as I can make it. I'm not actually going to accidentally run out of, remove the column. So you don't have to worry about making them too small. And these column sizes will then scale as you move your dashboard around. So that's everything about the standings object. So hopefully this has been a useful video. Thanks for watching it, and please like the video. Our link to the new Discord channel is below, so click on that and join it in the discussion about the Z1 software, the analyzer, the design of the dashboard, the server, everything associated with it. We'll be doing more videos now, so we have a lot of new tools and new features to talk about across all the applications in the Z1 software range. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.